We are recording, right?
Yeah. Hello again. You may remember that last year I made a video where I ostensibly just said, I've had really good luck with fuel stabilizers, and I've never bothered to drain fuel out of small engine stuff for years now, ever since I've started using Stabil. And I showed what I hoped to be some convincing evidence last year, which caused flame wars in the comments, because of course it did. By the way, audio, no idea how it's going to work out. It's kind of windy. Too bad. So, it is November 2nd. Snow could be coming any day now, and I haven't started this up since, I don't know, March. Last winter was weirdly mild for us, and I used this twice. Maybe 3 times, but I'm pretty sure I only used it twice. And the reason why I'm making this again is because this year, it's an extra special challenge. Since it was used so little last year, the gas that's in its tank, or petrol for those of you who speak metric, is half 1 year old and half 2 years old. So if you want to split the difference, the gas in the tank is 18 months old. So last year, I used it so little, the tank was about half full, and I put in fresh gas that I bought at the start of last year's winter season, so about this time. That was stabilized and filled the tank up. So it's been sitting with this 18-month mixture of gas in the garage for 6 months at least, and we'll see how much of a pain it is to start it today. Again, you'll have to take my word for it that this hasn't started up. I am not going to bother getting out the thermal camera because it's November. And I felt like I had something else to say. Right, so this is undoubtedly going to be the last piece of small engine equipment I ever own. My car has the vehicle to load feature, so I don't have any reason to own a generator. And I have a little battery electric lawnmower. They're great. Plus the string trimmer and all the other random fiddly things. So this is probably the last piece of small engine equipment I'm ever going to own. This advice may not even be relevant for very much longer. It certainly won't be for me. But I did change the oil. Oh, that's right. There's a couple things I want to address before I start it up. You know what? I'm going to start it up now because that's going to bother you. I'll come back and I'll edit this together. That's what I'll do. I'm smart. Without further ado, let me attempt to start this snowblower with 18-month-old gas, some of it literally 2 years old now. That's been double treated with Stabil, and that's all I've done, other than changing the. So, same thing. First start of the season, I'm going to give it 5 solid pumps on the primer thing. If it starts on the first pull, I will be very happy. Couple things with last year's video, couple pieces of feedback to give. This is a single stage snow thrower, not a 2-stage. Here in Illinois, I honestly don't think anybody needs a dual stage snow thrower. Everyone that I've seen using one seems to be going really slow, whereas I'm just plowing through real fast with this guy. It's extremely rare that we're going to get more than 10 inches of snow, and this can handle that. It might be a struggle, but it can handle that. And apparently, for people who haven't used single-stage snowblowers, either that or my experience with it is uniquely weird, they all have a governor. They don't idle. They run at a constant engine speed. So last year when I said this isn't a very good snowblower, the engine never idles quite right, everybody was like, oh, well, that's proof that fuel stabilizers are bad. It's always done that. And some people thought it wasn't idling. So I was like, oh, multiple people said, you've never shown it idling. This doesn't ever run at a lower engine speed. Once you open the choke, it holds at a single RPM, rather like a generator. Every one of these I've ever used is like that, going back to 2-stroke not, too strict where you got to mix the oil and gas. They've all been like that. So I don't know. I've never had a snowblower that you can actually adjust the speed, but I think that's because I've only ever had single-stage snowblowers. So yes, this thing, with no load on the engine, when it's running at that RPM, it's hunting a little bit. But it's always done that from day one. So if it does that now, I promise you that's not bad. Probably the carburetor should be tweaked a little bit, but if there's one piece of advice about carburetors, if they're not giving you any trouble, don't touch them. And I don't count that as trouble. So, maybe fuel stabilizers are a scam. Maybe I'm just incredibly lucky that I never bothered to drain the fuel and it still manages to start right up. But it's working fine. It's actually running a little better than it usually does, but it might be a hair slower. Plus, it's not cold. It's rather warm today. In fact, this jacket is too warm. But anyway, I'm going to let it run for a while as usual, and I'm happy to know that I'm prepared for this year. So, thanks for watching. Please feel free to enjoy arguing amongst yourselves. I'm not weighing in anymore, but I did cover what I wanted to say. It's never idled right. It's a single-stage snow thrower. I've never encountered one that you can vary the RPM. They all run at a governor, as far as my experience. And I changed the oil, right? I did change the oil last year. That was the first time I changed it. Had like very, very scant metal flakes in it, but it was, the break-in engine oil, unless it was broken in at the factory. I don't know. And it works. It's doing the thing. It's running. It's running better than it usually does, which is weird, but like I said, it's warm. And that's probably what it is. But it is missing. I don't know if you can hear. I don't know how well you can hear, but every once in a while there's a flute. But usually it's hunting a little bit to find the right RPM. Now it's quite stable. So I don't know if I think that's just because it's warm. But yeah, so this year, I don't like clearing snow, to be clear, but I will need to burn up the gases in the tank. So what I did was the leftover gas from last year, I just dumped it in the Figaro, went and filled it up, and put fresh, got a bottle of stable and fresh stable this year. Double dosed the new gas, so there's a full can of stabilized gas in the garage. And what's in the snowblower is left over from last year, but I topped it up before I dumped out the gas. You know what I'm saying? It seems to work fine. My mom and dad's generator, that thing, it's got like 3 or 4 year old gas in it now. And actually, no, I just topped it up. It was down to like a quarter tank, because it was the case where I knew it was getting extremely old gas. But until I did that last year, it had like 3 or 4 year old gas in it, and it still started. It was more difficult, I'll give you that, especially in the cold, but you could get it started. And their generator is a cheap Champion power equipment generator that they've had since I was in high school. So like I don't know exactly when they got to high school, but well over 10 years at this point. So, and it's still kicking. So yeah, the funny thing is, like, I don't really need to care about this much anymore. Because, like I said, if I'm going to get that snowblower, I will use until it dies, and by the time it dies, I'll probably look into getting a battery electric one. There are very good options, they're just expensive right now. And I might have considered one, except this is a very long driveway, and I didn't want to deal with it. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.